If you're a person where all your friends come to you with their problems, that's because they see something in you. You're more balanced and stable. But you got to remember this old saying. If you're the smartest person in your group, you need a new group. You've got to upgrade your friends. It ain't nothing bad. You just got to upgrade people in your life. But if you're the smartest person in your group, you need a new group. You cannot be the go-to person in the group.
You want to begin to get all the toxic people out of your life.
There are a lot of bridges in our life, right? A lot of things in our life, a lot of people in our life. And sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes the people closest to you, sometimes it's strangers. But there are always people in our life that leads us back to something that's not good for our life. I want you to think about this for a second. Maybe it's not now in your life. Maybe it's a point in time in your life where you had a lot of bridges. And sometimes that bridges you. Like, let's be real. But you had a lot of bridges in your life. Bridges mean connections and relationships that are leading you to a lesser you. So I want you to think about this right now. I want you to think about people in your life that aren't bringing to your life. And I don't mean they have to bring something incredible. But sometimes we have people in our life that bring nothing but drama, nothing but gossip, nothing but rumors, nothing but low self-esteem, nothing but low integrity, nothing but negativity, all these things. And we choose to keep these bridges up in our life. And I want to just tell you this, it's just facts. And you got to know this. The longer you keep bridges in your life that need to be burned, the more you prevent your life from building the bridges that need to be built. Some of us on here, listen, you were created incredible, but some of us on here have believed the lies. We believe the lies that people have told us. We believe the lies how people treat us. We believe the lies what this world has given us, and we live a lie our whole entire life. Most of us on here, if you're in this place, you are not living the life that God gave for you. You're living the life that other people created for you. You're living the life that pain created for you. You're living the life that negativity created for you. You're living the life that all these things have created for you. Now when you look at yourself, you don't even recognize who you are because you kept so many bridges in your life. And I get it. Trent, it's so hard. Trent, you don't understand. Trent, I've been around these people so long or had this job so long. Let me tell you something. Don't let the history keep you in the misery. Don't let the length of the friendship keep you in the friendship. That's terrible for your life. Like, it comes to a point, I'm not always talking about, oh, get rid of people, but I know when you keep toxic things in your life, you're going to feel toxic.
If you decide you want to be rich, all you gotta do is start. Why not? Who gonna stop you? Unless you tell it to the wrong person. Mama, listen to me. I'm going to be rich. Ain't anybody rich in this family. Go in there and sit down somewhere. Get yourself a good job. Oh, mama, you must be right. No, mama could be wrong. Because what you have in your imagination, God didn't show it to your mama. I'm sorry. He showed it to you. Listen to me. If y'all don't do nothing else, write everything you imagine down. Write it all down. Pray about it and watch what happens.
Energy drainers, get them out of your life. See, ladies and gentlemen, it takes a lot of energy to reach your goal. It takes a lot of emotional, mental, and spiritual energy to reach your goal. And you can run faster with 100 who want to go than with one around your neck.
I want to talk to you today about connecting with the right people. Your destiny is too big to get there on your own. God has already arranged certain people to speak faith into you. He's placed in your path people to inspire you, to challenge you, to help you grow and accomplish your dreams. But the reason some people never reach their highest potential is because they never get away from the wrong people. Everyone cannot go where God is taking you. You've got to connect with people that understand your destiny, people that appreciate your uniqueness, people that can call forth your seeds of greatness, not people that are always pushing you down, telling you what you can't become, never giving you their approval, no matter how good you do. Life is too short to drag people along. If you will get the wrong people out of your life, then God will bring the right people into your life. And some of you, the only thing that's holding you back is your inner circle. The people that are closest to you, they're with you, but they're not really for you. You're constantly having to persuade them that you're okay and convince them to get on board. You're spending all your time and energy on someone that doesn't understand your destiny. Your time is too valuable to spend it with people that are not 100% for you. It's not the quantity of friends that's important, it's the quality of friends. I would rather have 2 good friends that I know are for me 100% than to have 50 friends that are only for me 80%.
There's no way I can help myself. There's no way I can help the people who deserve my help if I'm keeping things in my life that's making me feel helpless. You have to guard your heart. You have to burn every single bridge that leads your life back to destruction. You have to burn every single bridge that leads your life back to negativity. You have to burn every single bridge that leads your life back to low self-esteem. And the more that you don't know who you are, the more that you don't tap into guarding your heart, because you're letting people stump on your heart, you're letting people take advantage of your life. The more you're doing that, then you're not going to have confidence in yourself, and you're going to believe the lies that people have told you. Like, straight up. You have believed the lies that someone else has told you. You let a broken person break you. You let a person that don't know how to love break you. You let a person that don't know what loyalty is break you. Am I telling that you have to have a perfect relationship or friendship? Absolutely not. Mistakes are going to be made in this life, but the same mistakes shouldn't be repeated, because when you repeat the same mistakes, and this is as a personal message too, when you repeat the same mistakes over and 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 over again, it is not a mistake. It has become a choice. Someone is choosing that action over and over and over again.
You need to evaluate who's on your team, who's speaking into your life, who you're giving your time and energy to. In other words, who you eating lunch with every day at the office, who you're talking to on the phone so much. Are they building you up or tearing you down? Are they inspiring you to go further, or are they telling you what you can't do? No, don't spend your time with people that don't make you better. Some of you don't realize how much that one negative influence is holding you back. You don't know how much more you would accomplish, how much more you would grow, how much more you would enjoy life if you just make necessary changes.
There are two kinds of relationships: nourishing relationships and toxic relationships. Nourishing relationships are the relationships that inspire you. They motivate you. They bring the best out of you. Toxic relationships are relationships with people that always criticize you. All they can do is find fault. All they can do is just exploit your weaknesses. All they can do is remind you of the mistakes that you've made in the past. These people are bad for your health. Toxic people can run your blood pressure up. One apple can spoil a whole barrel. One negative energy drainer can spoil your whole life. I know people whose lives have been ruined because somebody wasn't good for them. See, there are some people that aren't good for you. They aren't good for you. You've got to get them out of your life.
Everybody cannot be a loser. Some people have to be successful. So in my reality, I'm successful. So I hate when they use that, oh, let's be realistic. You never did this before. You never did that. Blah, blah, blah. Come on. They can't see from themselves, so there's no way they can see it for you. Think about that, guys. If these people never been successful, how can you really expect them to support you and want you, to get to that next level and be successful? They never saw it for themselves. They never had it. So just keep that in mind when talking to friends and family.
You need to make sure the people in your inner circle believe in who you are. They celebrate your gifts, and they're pushing you further, not holding you back. Some of you today, if you don't very kindly and politely show someone the door, they're going to keep you from becoming all God's created you to be. Well, he said, Joel, what if I hurt their feelings? What if they keep you from your destiny? What if they keep you from accomplishing your dreams and making a difference in our generation? I can't think of anything worse than to come to the end of our life and realize we have not become what God's created us to be. A lot of times we think, I know this person is not a good influence. I know they're keeping me from growing. But if I make a change, I may not have any friends. I may be lonely. And yes, you may be lonely for a season, but you never give up something for God that He doesn't give you something back better in return. If you'll make the change, God will not only give you new friends, He'll give you better friends. Friends that you don't have to wonder, are they for me or against me? Friends that don't try to manipulate you into who they want you to be, but they celebrate you and help you become who God's created you to be.
Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now, see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are going to be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. Major step to human progress. Discipline. If there's one thing to get excited over, that's it. Get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things. What could you make yourself do starting tomorrow that would change it all? No. Tell it. Now, see, that's exciting. On any given day, you can massively change the direction of your life. Murder is a clear example that any one person on any given day can forever alter the course of their life. It just happens to be a negative act. But just as sure as you can commit a negative act, you can also commit a positive act and forever alter your life. Whenever you wish. Now that's exciting. And whatever that act might be that changes your life. The guy finally takes a shotgun to his car and blows out every window, destroys every tire, puts 100 rounds in this shabby old thing. And he says, I have driven this embarrassing thing for the last time. And not only will I never drive it again, nobody else will ever drive it again. And he lets that shuddering thing stand there for a while as a monument to the day he said, today my life changes. Now who can do that? Anybody. When can you do it? Whatever day you pick. Now here's the key to discipline. Start with the little disciplines. Get excited over the little disciplines. And get right on those because those will lead to the big ones. You can't handle the big challenges in life unless you take on the little ones. Make a list of all the things you can do. Get right on those. Discipline yourself for those. Both for the results and for the muscle and for the practice. So that when life hands you some big challenges, you'll be ready, you'll have the muscle. But see, if you don't handle the small ones, you can't take care of the big ones.
All right, all right, all right. We are about to begin. Yes, we are. Hello, 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 everyone. Yes. I had to do a little motivation and encouragement before we got started with this chapter 15. I'm going to try to keep this at an hour. It might be 30 minutes, depending on how long the chapters are. How everybody doing? How everybody doing? All right, that's right. Let's get this thing popping. Yes. All right. So let's dive in this thing, shall we? Chapter 5. Oh Lord, I said chapter 5. Chapter 15. The path of unconditional happiness. The highest spiritual path is life itself. If you know how to live daily, let me reread that. If you know how to live daily life, it will all become a liberating experience. But first, you have to approach life properly, or it can be very confusing. To begin with, you have to realize that you really only. To begin with, you have to realize that you really only have one choice in this life. It is not about your career, whom you want to marry, or whether you want to seek God. People tend to burden themselves with so many choices. But in the end, you can throw it all away and just make one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy? It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. Most people don't dare give themselves the choice because they think it's not under their control. Some might say, well, of course I want to be happy, but my wife left me. In other words, they want to be happy, but not if their wife leaves them. But that wasn't the question. The question was very simple. Do you want to be happy or not? If you keep it that simple, you will see that it really is under your control. It's just that you have a deep-seated set of preferences that gets in the way. Let's say you've been lost and without food for days, and you finally find your way to a house. You can hardly make it to the doorstep, but you manage to pull yourself up and knock on the door. Somebody opens the door, looks at you and say, "Oh my God, you poor thing. Do you want something to eat? What would you like?" Now, the truth is, you really don't care what they give you. You don't even want to think about it. You just utter the word food. And because you really mean it when you say you need food, it no longer has anything to do with your mental preferences. The same goes for the question about happiness. The question is simple. Do you want to be happy? If the answer is really yes, then say it without qualifying it. After all, what the question really means is, do you want to be happy from this point forward for the rest of your life? It's not like you're about to get married, regardless of what happens. Now, if you say yes, it might happen. Now, if you say yes, it might happen that your wife leaves you, or your husband dies, or the stock market crashes, or your car breaks down on an open highway at night. Those things might happen between now and the end of your day. But if you want to walk the highest spiritual path, then when you answer yes to the simple question, you must really mean it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not a question of whether your happiness is under your control. Of course it's under your control. It's just that you don't really mean it when you say you're willing to stay happy. You want to qualify it. You want to say that as long as this doesn't happen or as long as that doesn't happen, then you're willing to be happy. That's why it seems like it's out of your control. Any condition you control will limit your happiness. You simply aren't going to be able to control things and keep them the way you want them. You have to give an unconditional answer. If you decide that you're going to be happy from now on for the rest of your life, You will not only be happy, you will become enlightened. Mhm. Unconditional happiness is the highest technique there is. You don't have to learn Sanskrit or read any scriptures. You don't have to renounce the world. You just have to really mean it when you say that you choose to be happy. And you have to mean it regardless of what happens. This is truly a spiritual path. And it is as direct and sure a path to awakening as could possibly exist. I'm going to read that again. This is truly a spiritual path. And it is as direct and sure a path to awakening as could possibly exist. Once you decide you want to be unconditionally happy, something inevitably will happen that challenges you all the time. That happens all the time. The challenges. The test of your commitment is exactly what stimulates spiritual growth. In fact, it is the unconditional aspects of your commitment that makes this the highest path. It's so simple. You just have to decide whether or not you will break your vow. I told you it seemed like you was getting married. When everything is going well, it's easy to be happy. But the moment something difficult happens, it's not so easy. You tend to find yourself saying, but I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't think I'd miss my flight. I didn't think Sally would show up at a party wearing the same dress I had on. I didn't think that somebody would dent my brand new car 1 hour after I got it. Oh my. Are you really willing to break your vows of happiness because these events took place? Billions of things could happen that you haven't even thought of yet. The question is not whether they will happen. Things are going to happen. Excuse me. The real question is whether you want to be happy regardless of what happens. The purpose of your life is to enjoy and learn from your experiences. You were not put on earth to suffer. You're not helping anybody by being miserable. Regardless of your philosophical beliefs, the fact remains that you were born and you are going to die. During the time in between, you get to choose whether or not you want to enjoy the experience. Events don't determine whether or not you're going to be happy. They're just events. You determine whether or not you're going to be happy. You can be happy just to be alive. You can be happy having all those things happen to you and then be happy to die. If you can live this way, your heart will be so open and your spirit will be so free that you will soar up to the heavens. This path leads you to absolute transcendence. Because any part of your being that would add a condition to your commitment to happiness has got to go. If you want to be happy, you have to let go of the part of you that wants to create melodrama. This is the part. This is. Where am I? During the time in between, you get to choose whether or not you want to enjoy the experience. Events don't determine whether or not you're going to be happy. They're just events. You determine whether or not you're going to be happy. You can be happy, just be alive. You can be happy just to be alive. You can be happy having all these things happen to you and then be happy to die. If you can live this way, your heart will be so open and your heart will be so open and your spirit will be so free that you will soar up to the heavens. This path leads you to absolute transcendence because of any part of your being that would add a condition to your commitment to happiness has to go. If you want to be happy, you have to let go of the part of you that wants to create melodrama. This is the part that thinks there's a reason not to be happy. You have to transcend the personal, and as you do, you will naturally awaken to the higher aspects of you. You will naturally awaken to the higher aspects of your being. In the end, enjoying life's experience is the only rational thing to do. You're sitting on a planet spinning around in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Go ahead, take a look at reality. You're floating in empty space in a universe that goes on forever. If you have to be here, at least be happy and enjoy the experience. You're going to die anyway. Things are going to happen anyway. Why shouldn't you be happy? You gain nothing by being bothered by life's events. It doesn't change the world. You just suffer. Excuse me. There's always going to be something that bothers you if you let it. The choice is to enjoy life. The choice to enjoy life will lead you through your spiritual journey. In truth, it is itself. In truth, it is itself. It is in truth, it is itself a spiritual teacher. Committing yourself to unconditional happiness will teach you every single thing there is to learn about yourself, about others, and about the nature of life. You will learn about your mind, your heart, and your will. But you have to mean it when you say that you'll be happy for the rest of your life. Every time a part of you begins to get unhappy, let it go. Work with it. Use affirmations or do whatever you need to do to stay open. If you are committed, nothing can stop you, no matter what happens. You can choose to enjoy the experience. If they starve you and put you in solitary confinement, just have fun being like Gandhi. No matter what happens, just enjoy the life that comes to you. As difficult as that sounds, what's the benefit of not doing it? If you're totally innocent and they lock you up, you might as well have fun. What good is it? What good does it do to not have fun? It doesn't change anything. In the end, if you stay happy, you win. Make that your game and just stay happy no matter what. The key to starving, the key to staying happy is really very simple. Begin by understanding your inner energies. If you look inside, you will see that when you're happy, your heart feels open and the energy rushes up inside of you. When you aren't happy, your heart feels closed and no energy comes up inside. Whew. So to stay happy, you just don't close your heart, no matter what happens. Even if your wife leaves you or your husband dies, you don't close. There is no rules that says you have to close. Just tell yourself that no matter what happens, you're going to close. You're not going to close. Just tell yourself that no matter what happens, you're not going to close. You really do have that choice. When you start to close, just question if you're really willing to give up your happiness. You should examine what is inside of you that believes there is some benefit to closing. The slightest thing happens to you and you give away your happiness. You were having a great day until someone cut you off on your way to work. It got you really upset and you stayed that way the rest of the day. Why? Dare to ask yourself the question. What good comes from letting it ruin your day? There was no benefit. If somebody cuts you off, let go and stay open. If you really want to, you can. If you take on if you take on this path of unconditional happiness, you will go through all of the various stages of yoga. You will have to stay conscious, centered, and committed all the time. You will have to stay one-pointed on your commitment to remain open and receptive to life. But nobody said that you can't do this. Staying open is what the great saints and masters taught. They taught that God is joy, God is ecstasy, and God is love. If you remain open enough, waves of uplifting energy will fill your heart. Spiritual practices are not an end in themselves. They bear fruit when you become deep enough to remain open. If you learn to stay open at all times, great things will happen to you. You simply have to learn to not close. The key is to learn to keep your mind disciplined enough so that it doesn't trick you into thinking that this time is worth closing. If you slip, get back up. The minute you slip, the minute you open your mouth, the minute you start to close and defend yourself, get back up. Just pick yourself up and affirm inwardly that you don't want to close, no matter what happens. Affirm that all you want is to be at peace and to appreciate your life. You don't want your happiness to be conditional upon the behavior of other people. It's bad enough that your happiness is conditional upon your own behavior. When you start making it conditional upon other people's behavior, you're in serious trouble. Mm, 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 mm. There are going to Things are going to happen to you, and you're going to feel the tendency to close. But you have the choice to either go with it or let it go. Your mind will tell you that it is not reasonable to stay open when these things happen, but you have limited time left in your life. And what's really not reasonable is to not enjoy life. If you have trouble remembering that, then meditate. Meditation strengthens your center of consciousness so that you're always aware enough to not allow your heart to close. You remain open by simply letting go and releasing the tendency to close. You just relax your heart when it starts to tighten. You don't have to be outwardly glowing all the time. You're just joyfully inside. Instead of complaining, you're just having fun with the different situations that unfold. Unconditional happiness is a very high path and a very high technique because it solves everything. You could learn yoga techniques such as meditation and posture. But what do you do with the rest of your life? The techniques of unconditional happiness is ideal because what you are doing with the rest of your life is already defined. You're letting go of yourself so that you can remain happy. As far as your spirituality goes, you're going to grow very rapidly. A person who actually does this every moment of the day is going to notice the cleansing of their heart. This is because they're not getting involved in the stuff that comes up. They're also going to notice the purification of their mind because they are not getting involved in the mind's melodrama. Their Shakti spirit is going to awaken even if they know nothing about Shakti. They will come to know a happiness that is beyond human understanding. The path solves daily life and it solves spiritual life. The greatest gift one can give to God is to be pleased with His creation. Do you think God likes to be around people that are unhappy or people that are miserable? It's not hard to tell. Just think about it by imagining that you're God. You create the heavens and the earth so that you can play and experience yourself. And now you're dropping down to check on your humans. So God is the first human He sees. How are you doing? The human says, what do you mean, how am I doing? Well, do you like it here? No, I don't like it here. Why not? What's wrong? Uh-oh. The trees is bent in 5 places. I want it to be straight. This person went out with somebody else, and that person ran up $100 phone bill. This person has a nicer car than mine, and that person dresses funny. It's just terrible. Plus, my nose is too big, my ears are too small, and my toes are weird. I'm not happy with it. I don't like it in any of it. Any of it. So God says, well, how about the animals? The ants and mosquitoes bite you. It's a terrible thing. I can't go out at night because there are all these animals out there. They howl and poop all over the place, and I just don't like it. Do you think God likes listening to this? He says, what do you think? Am I a complaint department? Then he goes on and visits somebody else, and again he asks, how are you doing? This person says, I'm ecstatic. God says, wow. Well, how do you like things? They're beautiful. Everything I look at just creates waves of joy inside of me. I like it that bent trees. No, I look at the bent trees. It just blows me away. The ant comes and bite me, and it's just so amazing that a tiny ant could be brave enough to bite a giant like me. Now you guess who God wants to hang out with. Now you guess who God wants to hang out with. One of the ancient names for God in the yogic tradition is, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but it's some Satchitananda, external conscious bliss. Yes. God is ecstasy. God is as high as it gets. If you want to be close to God, learn to be joyful. If you remain spontaneously happy and centered, no matter what happens, you will find God. That's the amazing part. Yes, you will find happiness, but there's nothing compared to what you're really going to find. Once you have passed through trial by fire and you are thoroughly convinced that you will not let, hold up, you're thoroughly convinced that you will let go no matter what, then the veils of the human mind and the heart will fall away. I knew it. You will stand face to face with what is beyond you because there is no longer a need for you. When you are done playing with the temporal and finite, you will open to the eternal and infinite. Then the word happiness can't describe your state. That's where words like ecstasy, bliss, liberation, nirvana, and freedom come in. The joy becomes overwhelmed, and your cup runneth over. This is a beautiful path. Be happy. That's right. Be happy. We're on chapter 16, and it says superior. The spiritual path of non-resistance. One should view their spiritual work as learning to live life without stress, problems, fear, or melodrama. This path of using life to evolve spiritually is truly the highest path. There really is no reason for tension or problem. Stress only happens when you resist life's event. If you're neither pushing life away nor pulling it towards you, then you are not creating any resistance. You are simply present. In this state, you are not creating any resistance. You are simply present. In this state, you are just witnessing and experiencing the events of life taking place. If you choose to live this way, you will see that life can be lived in a state of peace. What an amazing process life is. This flow of atoms through time and space is just an eternal sequence of events that take form and then instantly dissolve into the next moment. If you resist this amazing force of life, tensions builds within you, excuse me, and get into your body, mind, and your spiritual heart. It is not difficult to see the tendency towards stress and resistance in daily life. But if we want to understand this tendency, excuse me, we must first examine why we are so resistant to just letting life be life. What is it inside of us that even has the ability to resist that reality of life? If you look carefully inside yourself, you will see that it's you, the self, the indwelling being that has this power. It is called willpower. Will is a real force that emanates from your being. It is what makes your arms and legs move. They don't just move randomly by themselves. They move the way they do because you assert will to make them do so. You use the same will to hold onto thoughts when you want to concentrate on them. The power of self, when it is concentrated and directed into the physical, mental, or emotional realms, create a force. And we call that force will. That's what you use when you try to make things happen or not happen. You are not helpless in there. You have the power to affect things. It's amazing to see what we end up doing with our will. We actually assert our will in opposition to the flow of life. If something happens that we don't like, we resist it. But since what we are resisting has already taken place, what good is it to resist? If your best friend moves away, it's understandable that you don't like it. But your inner resistance that event for years to come does not, but your inner resistance to that event for years to come does not change the fact that they did indeed move away. It does not do anything to the reality of the situation. The fact is, it cannot even be argued that we're resisting the actual situation. For instance, if somebody says something that we don't like, obviously our resistance won't stop them from having said it. What we're really resisting is the experience of the event passing through us. We don't want it affecting us outside. We know it's going to make mental and emotional impressions that will not fit with what's already in there. So we assert the force of will against the influence of the event in an attempt to stop it from passing through our hearts and minds. In other words, the experience of an event does not stop with our sensory observation of it. In other words, the experience of an event does not stop with our sensory observation of it. The event also has to pass through the psyche at an energetic level. This is a process we experience every day. The initial sensory observation touches our mental and emotional energy pools, creating movement in the energy. This movement passes through the psyche impact, much like the physical impact ripples through water. Amazingly, you actually have the ability to resist the movement of energy. The assertion of willpower can stop the energy transfer, and that's what creates tension. You can wear yourself out struggling with the experience of a single event, or even a single thought or emotion. And you know that all too well. Eventually, you'll see that this resistance is a tremendous waste of energy. The fact is, you're generally using your will to resist one of the two things, that which has already happened or that which hasn't happened yet. You are sitting inside resisting impressions from the past or thoughts about the future. Think of how much energy is wasted resisting what has already happened. Since the event has already passed, you are actually struggling with yourself, not with the event. In addition, contemplate how much energy is wasted resisting what might happen. Since most of the things you think might happen never do, you are just throwing your energy away. How you deal with your energy flow has a major effect on your life. If you assert your will against the energy of any of in if you assert your will against the energy of an event that has already happened, it is like trying to stop the ripples caused by a leaf dropped into a still lake. Anything has no place. No, anything you do causes more disturbance, not less. When you resist the energy, when you resist, the energy has no place to go. It gets stuck in your psyche and seriously affects you. It blocks your heart's energy flow and causes you to feel closed and less vibrant. This is literally what is happening when something is weighing on your mind or when things just get too heavy for you. This is the human predicament. Events have happened and we continue to hold their energy inside of us by resisting them. Nor capable, no. Now when we face today's event, we are neither prepared to receive them nor capable of digesting them. This is because we're still struggling with past energies. Over time, the energy can build up to the point that a person becomes so blocked that they either blow up or shut down completely. This is what it means to get stressed out or even totally burnt out. There is no reason to get stressed out. There is no reason for blowing up or shutting down. If you do not let this energy build up inside of you, but instead allow each moment of your day to pass through you, then you can be as fresh every moment as you would be on a stress-free vacation. It is not life's events that are causing problems or stress. It is your resistance to life's events that is causing this experience. Since the problem is caused by using your will to resist the reality of life passing through you, the solution is quite obvious. Stop resisting. If you're going to resist something, at least have some rational basis for resisting. Otherwise, you are irrationally wasting precious energy. Be willing to examine the process of resistance. In order to resist, you first must decide that everything is not the way you like it. Plenty of events make it right through you. Why did you decide to resist this one? Why did you decide to resist this one? Something inside of you must have a basis for deciding when to simply let things pass through and when to assert willpower to either push them away or cling to them. There are a billion things that don't bother you at all. You drive to work every day and you hardly notice the buildings and trees. The white lines on the road don't stress you out at all. You see them, but they pass right through you. Don't assume, however, it's that way for everyone. Someone who paints street lines for a living could get very stressed out if those white lines were not even. In fact, they could get so stressed out that they refuse to drive down the road anymore. It's clear that not all of us resist the same things or have the same issue. This is because we don't all have the same preconceived notions of how things should be or how much they should matter to us. If you want to understand stress, begin by realizing that you carry around with you your own set of preconceived notions of how things should be. It is based upon those notions that you assert your will to resist what has already happened. Where did you get this preconceived notion? Let's say that seeing azaleas in bloom stress. Hold up. Let's say that seeing azaleas in bloom stresses you out. Surely that doesn't bother most people. Why does it bother you? All we need to know is that you once had a girlfriend who grew azaleas, and she broke up with you when they were in bloom. Now, every time you see azalea in bloom, your heart closes. You don't even want to go near the things. They just create too much disturbance for you. The personal events that take place in our lives leave impressions on our minds and hearts. Those impressions become the basis for asserting our will to either resist or cling. It's no deeper than that. The events may have happened in your childhood or at various points throughout your life. Regardless of when they happened, they left impressions inside of you. Now, based on that past impression, you are resisting the current events that are taking place. This creates inner tension, turmoil, struggle, and suffering. Instead of seeing this and refusing to allow these past events to ruin your life, you buy into them, believing they have real meaning. You put all your heart and soul into either resisting or clinging. But in truth, this entire process has no real meaning. It just destroys your life. The alternative is to use life to let go of these impressions and the stress they create. In order to do this, you have to become very conscious. You have to carefully watch the mental voice that tells you to resist something. It literally commands you. I don't like what he said. Fix it. It gives you advice and tells you to confront the world by resisting things. Why do you listen to it? Let your spiritual path become the willingness and to let whatever happens make it through you rather than carrying it into the next moment. That doesn't mean you don't deal with what happens. You're welcome to deal with it. But first, let the energy make it through you. If you don't, you will not actually be dealing with the current event. You will be dealing with your own blocked energies from the past. You will not be coming from a place of clarity, but from a place of inner resistance and tension. To avoid this, begin dealing with each situation with acceptance. Acceptance means that events can make it through you. Acceptance means that events can make it through you without resistance. If an event takes place and it is able to make it through your psyche, you will be left face to face. You will be left face to face with the actual situation as it truly exists. Since you are dealing with the actual event rather than stored energies stimulated by the event, you won't assert reactive energy from your past. You will find that you are able to deal with daily situations much better. It is actually possible to never have another problem for the rest of your life. This is because events are not the problem. They're just events. Your resistance to them is what causes the problem. But again, don't think that because you accept reality, it means you don't deal with things. You do deal with things. You just deal with them as events that are taking place on the planet Earth and not as a personal problem. You will be surprised to find that in most situations there is nothing to deal with except for your own fears and desires. Fear and desire make everything seem so complicated. If you don't have fear or desire about an event, there's really nothing to deal with. You simply allow life to unfold and interact with it in a natural and rational manner. When the next thing happens, you're fully present in that moment and simply enjoying the experience of life. There are no problems. It's all about no problems, no tension, no stress, and no burnouts. When the events of this world make it through you, you have reached a deep spiritual state. You can then be conscious in the present of whatever takes place without building up blocked energies. When you attain that state, everything becomes clear. In contrast, everybody else is attempting to deal with the world around them while struggling with their own reactions and personal preferences. When a person is dealing with their own fears, anxieties, and desires, how much energy is left for dealing with what's actually happening? Stop and think about what you're capable of achieving. Up to now, your capacity has been constrained by constant inner struggles. Imagine what would happen if your awareness was free to focus only on the event actually taking place. You would have no noise going on inside. If you live like this, you could do anything. Your capabilities would be exponential compared to what you've ever experienced. If you could bring this level of awareness and clarity to everything you do, your life would change. So, as your path as your path, you take on the work of using life to let go of your resistance. Relationships are a great way to work with yourself. Imagine if you use relationships to get to know other people rather than to satisfy what is blocked inside of you. If you're not trying to make people fit in your preconceived notions of what you like and dislike, you will find that relationships are not really that difficult. If you're not so busy judging and resisting people based upon what is blocked inside of you, you will find that they are much easier to get along with, and so are you. Letting go of yourself is the simplest way to get closer to others. The same is true in your daily work. Daily work is fun. In fact, it's easy. Your work is just what you do with yourself during the day while you're spinning on a planet through empty space. If you want to be content and enjoy your work, you have to let go of yourself and let events flow through you. Your real work is what is left to do after all else passes through. Once the personal energy passes through you, the world becomes a different place. People and events will appear different to you. You will realize that you have talents and abilities you never saw before. Your whole view of life will change. Every single thing in this world will look like it's been transformed. This happens because as you let go in one situation, it affects your clarity for other situations. For example, let's say you're afraid of dogs. You come to realize that other people aren't afraid and they make it through life. Since you've been afraid your whole life, you suffer while others didn't. That suffering had no meaning. So you decided to work with your fear and relax when you see a dog. That way, the way to work with resistance is by relaxing. I'm going to read that again. The way to work with resistance is by relaxing. The act of relaxing through your personal resistance not only changes your relationship with dogs, it changes your relationship with everything. Your soul has now learned how to let disturbing energies pass through. The next time somebody says or does something you don't like, you automatically treat it the same as you did the fear of dogs. This process of relaxing through resistance is beneficial to everything in your life. This is because it directly addresses how to keep your heart open when it is trying to close. Deep inner release is a spiritual path in and of itself. It is the path of non-resistance, the path of acceptance, the path of surrender. It's about not resisting energies as they pass through you. If you have difficulty doing this, don't get down on yourself. Just keep working with it. It's the work of a lifetime to become that open, that complete, and that whole. The key is just to relax and release and deal only with what's left in front of you. You do not need to worry about the rest. If you relax and release, you will see that it puts you through tremendous spiritual growth. You'll start to feel an enormous amount of energy awakening inside of you. You will feel much more love than you ever felt before. You will feel more peace and contentment, and eventually nothing would ever disturb you again. You truly can reach a state in which you never have any more. Hold up. You truly can reach a state in which you never have any more stress, tension, or problems for the rest of your life. You just have to realize that life is giving you a gift, and that gift is the flow of events that take place between your birth and your death. These events are exciting, challenging, and create tremendous growth. To comfortably handle this flow of life, your heart and mind must be open and expansive enough to encompass reality. The only reason they are not is because you resist. Learn to stop resisting reality, and what used to look like stressful problems will begin to look like the stepping stones of your spiritual journey. The end. So, when it comes to chapter 17 through 17, 18, or 19, I said, no, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Right. So, we can conclude this reading, and I will see y'all. If not first thing in the morning, it will be tomorrow night. But I'm thinking it's going to be first thing in the morning around about 7:45 like we normally do. So y'all have yourself a great evening, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.